Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 11 of Kokomo, our modded CS2 build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Between the last episode and this one, we had a live stream adding in a subsidiary lumberyard of Hollywood Industry, alongside a low-rent housing estate, a locals baseball field, and enterprise storage lot. Really nice additions tucked into the side of the rail yard here, inspired from what we found over in Tampa. Thank you for hanging out in our live streams. But today, the city screams, it yearns for more residential demand. With so many free workplaces in the city and a happy population, people are desperate to move here. And as we're also by the river, I think we'll also get to have some fun with some boat storage detailing today as well. But happy Wednesday to you all. Welcome back to Kokomo, everyone. So to help tackle all of this extreme high demand today, you can see what's affecting it here. Not too much demand for the other stuff at the minute, so we really want to go heavy residential today, I think. So coming into our find it filter, I'm just going to go ahead and search for medium buildings at level 1 and start to piece together a bit of a high-rise waterfront here. So I think it might even go to tall buildings and use a single chunky tower. Something that can serve the peak of our skyline. And I bet as we place that, yeah, immediately that straight away, every apartment sells out straight away. Isn't that amazing? Wonderful to see. And I do like the northeast stuff. I wouldn't say it's particularly Florida, but its buildings are quite impressive. I think because that is so tall though, I'm going to include it and perhaps even just switch places with this smaller unit. I'm happy to have some older style buildings in here. We'll have that as a big corner beast. And then I'd like some more medium density to sit around it just to help ease it in a little bit. So we'll bring a little road up and behind. And we might have some room for some detailing down here. Maybe even turn some of these into parking roads as well for this tower. And then all these little roads that start to bleed off the couplet system now. Should stitch quite nicely into the surrounding network. Can get that on a wider super node there. It's a little bit stretched. I think it's more just the crossings that are bothering me. Yeah, that'll be fine. Let's get some southwest towers in here. Looks like these will actually work really nicely back to back too. Just want sheer density of population in this bit of the city today. I mean, we'll get some no pedestrian access warnings, which is a touch irritating. But a little bit of move it will actually get them to go away. And I could see that duplicating as well. Let's get that in again. Same thing with move it. That's going to give us that big cohesive apartment front right down the couplet system here, which is exactly what I want. To begin sitting opposite this, let's cross over the couplet. I'm going to make these one-way turnaround points here since there's two of them so close together. And then back to 2-lane. Could even do a little bit of asymmetry here actually, as we bring the road onto the waterfront. Where I did reference some cool ideas you dropped last episode. Someone referenced a boat storage, which I think would be a perfect little place for it to sit in here, and we can repurpose possibly an industrial building with a tiny bit of industry demand seeping in there. But let's continue this waterbound pathway, and then this road will carry on passing through medium density residential, arriving at that boatyard here. And we'll put a little cul-de-sac on the end. To prepare the water ramp, let's trim that one back. I will continue this out of the park here, in the little area we developed on live stream. Bring it down a bit sooner, which turned out really nicely by the way. We had some lot of fun details in this area. Some more nefarious activities happening in the overgrowth here. And lots of expanded playground detailing behind these homes. A lot of fun, especially expanding the taxi depot here too. With the trains going by. Very nice little area of town. Thank you for spending time with me in the evenings, building out stuff like that. As is over here, let's give ourselves a building. Probably just a little plopped one is going to be fine. Something like that. Let's search for general industry. Yeah, just something like this. It doesn't have to be anything overly impressive. Maybe do a couple of them. You should immediately go to business. Oh look, it's onshore. Onshore here. Perfect. Onshore boat storage, which is a great name for a boat storage company, isn't it? My word. So we'd like a little crack in the key here. Let's mark that out with some pathways first. So we'll grab a section in the middle. Let's go for that. A little bit of terraforming. We'll use a rectangle brush for this, which is actually square. And then we'll take 2 contour lines off the water there. And just push that in. Dig out some of these banks to expose that key that we've got in this area. We actually want to upgrade that road section to have key left and right on appropriate sides. So that should fill up and hopefully not flood the city. You never know with CS2's water. I've had a myriad of different experiences with the water flow in this game. Set everyone to the same height here. I'm pretty happy with that. And then we'll have said boat ramp. I might trigger the boat police with this particular build. Let's hope not. And then in the middle, let's just go for like, I guess down to there will be fine. Sink the ramp into the water so it looks appropriate. And then because all this stuff connects, we can just have it set like that. I actually think those 2 side connections are hurting the design there, so we'll hook it in at another location. But just sort of have this snug fit here is really the design aesthetic I want. So now we have a little boat ramp access up onto the area here. Now with the pathway over, obviously that kind of breaks the access for the pedestrians. So I wonder if there's a way we could grab one of the covered tunnel bridges. It will fit with the wonderful world of anarchy, but it does absolutely block the boat access. Will we pretend it's a drawbridge? There is an actual drawbridge, but the scale I'm playing with it just won't fit here. I think maybe we just have it as regular pathway, and then they can pretend they can maybe like swing the bridge open if there's boats coming in. I've definitely seen that in America marina before, bridges that'll swing to give access. And maybe that'll be okay. We'll see. Might do some refinement of that in the detailing time lapse here. This whole concrete space out. I like this kind of grated iron, or like corrugated iron here too. Let's actually delete that one. We'll bring that out that side. And then this concrete surface can take up most of the boatyard here. This down will allow some room for some fencing to flourish. And then we'll get a rack of boat ramps here. I'm not sure if it's appropriate for boats to be on the floor. I don't think it is. Can't imagine it's very good for them. And then using our prop tool, we can place various boats, so need certain models though, obviously. So just a fun little way to satisfy some industrial demand. I might likely do some more detailing here a little bit later on as well. So hopefully not upset the boat police. I did try to use the boat trailers, but yeah. I'll probably upset the boat police today. Wonderful. How are we feeling about this one? I don't mind it. It just needs some bigger things around it. We're seeing industrial demand and office demand spike though, but I'm going to carry on down the residential warpath. Now, I'm not averse to having some of this Mediterranean heritage unique building stuff feature here, because it forms quite nicely into a cute corner unit, which I think might actually be better next to this northeast one than these apartments, which I do like, but we'll just put them further down. And then I'll find another connection for them in a second, but we'll prioritize these. So let's go the Villa Antica or Imperial Plaza. These are level 5 apartments holding 108 each. So they're quite impressive. I think I used a quadruplet of these actually in the other town, didn't I? That one obviously goes next door. I think I'm much happy with that next to the northeast building, just so it's a more gradual step down. Because this will probably form another one of these mini suburban skylines we've seen popping up. The water's disappeared, by the way. I don't know what's caused this. I did terraform, but did I accidentally... I didn't realise you could delete water sources. Is that what's happened? I've absolutely no idea. So current major drought, but in this lake specifically, the other ones are fine. So I will fix that, but I need to look into the water source issues as to why it's happened. But the point being, from over here, we can already see these buildings forming here, can't we? So that's going to be quite a lot of fun. I think we're also in need of a power station pretty soon as well. Because we're still importing all the power and we'll be paying a fortune for that. Sweet, so this will be the new edge of this block. That's where those southwest apartments can also plug into here as well. You go down there, and then plug that in over that way. And then the next two, we've got this one, which looks really nice with that shifty angle. And then these all going to stitch together. Is this how they're designed? Oh no. It's a little bit short. It's okay though. We can deal with that. It's a slightly deeper asset, but I'm happy for the block to shift and change shape on various angles. Have that in there. I mean, I'm not averse to the opening, to be honest, but there's probably a nice asset. Let's go for a level 1 medium density with a front-facing building. Okay, we'll go with that block from Mediterranean Heritage. Nudge it back a little bit. Do have a flat face there, but I don't mind it really. And then all this delicious tiled surface work will make for the best plaza detailing here by main streets. Bring a bit of fanciness to this area as well. Let's get some grass-lined streets around this entire block. Yeah, another little pop of Mediterranean. Not the first time we've used this sort of stuff here. We also found Office Evolution from the last episode. Blends very nicely with that vibe as well, doesn't it? Yeah, all the different little angles on that building, that block. It's quite nice, that, isn't it? Almost looks a little bit municipal as well, doesn't it, sort of, with this big, quite impressive frontage. How are we doing for education? Because we're bringing so many more people in, these guys are probably going to have to travel quite far for school. The high school upgrade isn't too far away. Can we put one here? Yes, we can. I think we'll just do that first then before we do anything else. Yeah, that gives us plenty. Although elementary is probably not too far, maybe a couple more thousand from being in the orange. So with the current older Mediterranean vibes going on, could we possibly repurpose a French elementary here to sit? Because it's quite a modern, clean, white building. I wouldn't mind some mixed use, but we've just got no commercial demand, so I'm a bit more reluctant to use it, really. And then with some of the southwest buildings as well, which aren't too dissimilar with the red tiles and the alcoves and stuff. That can help us transition from this more themed residential. You have an upgrade. Right, so that's just capacity, isn't it? Yeah, we won't need that yet. Where's the tram stopping in relation to this? Yeah, it's fine. There's going to be stuff down here. That's plenty enough times for it to stop. So I promise I do like these apartments. I know I keep moving them, but I'll have them on the southwest side over here. Plug them in there, and that looks like the alleyway behind the Taco Bell. That should hold them quite nicely, I think. Yes, there we go. So let's get a little bit of a plopping spree in here of all southwest medium density apartments, which again I'm filtering for level 1 buildings, front facing, medium density. And it's going to bring me up a really nice selection of assets that'll work here. Then here, let's find something on the left corner like that, but I'd then like to open up this street face here to some of these apartments, which hopefully, I think it might be too far for them to fit. Yeah, it does if it's there. It is happy just a bit further ahead there. So I could open up that street corner to a little yard here, which again, the wonderful world of services will stitch all this together for us. And then where we've got a little bit of an awkward spot, let's stick in some bike parking here. Perfect, we'll do 2 of them. Move that right into the corner. And maybe even a little single placeable one in the middle. That one there. And then there's a lot of fun to be had. Detailing little residential plazas in here too. Just a little street corner to sit as part of this main town centre here. Opposite these row homes, which I would like to include more of actually. Possibly as a bit of a crescendo breaker back to the low density actually, so I'm going to go for my southwest row homes. Have all these facing into that low density here. Sweet, so that's brought us up by about, I think 1,500 since the start of the episode. Maybe 1,000, something like that. But we are starting to make dents in this, although it's already crawling back up. So just a note around here, there's a lot of people walking back up and to across the roads from the trams, so I think we're probably justified for one of Peanut's pedestrian crossings here, which looks like this one will probably fit the couplet. Looks like we might need the wide one here. I think we can get that to fit something like that, can't we? So, stop crossing here. That should help the couplet system. Not that it's massively busy. Oh, there is a pole in the middle of the road there, isn't there? Yep. Probably can't have it there. Let's just move it further down. I'm trying to cross it over near there, aren't I? It doesn't really need to be that close. It's a little bit close to that building. Let's just push that off a little bit. That should help the situation. Yeah, they're already starting to pit up as a way back and two. Again, future-proofing potential pedestrian traffic there. I do find those busier crossings in the city tend to actually cause quite a bit of traffic. Back over here, our industrial demand is still spiking. Now, glancing at our city economy, our production chain, you can't get any raw material production here because it just wouldn't make sense. But processed goods we can certainly have a go at. Now, our biggest deficit is timber and metal. So I wouldn't mind a few sort of metal producing workshops here. Let's just take out this section of fence, and then we'll remove zoning off the roundabout, or the cul-de-sac. And then let's zone in 3 or 4 businesses here. And I'll let the CS2 simulation pick what buildings it wants. And then we'll isolate that as part of the boatyard, do our own detailing around it. Here coming into the waterfront by the residential, I think I'd certainly appreciate some of the waterfront zoning. So from this road here, let's come out of this one. And I suppose I'll hook back into the couple system there as well. And then let's go into our commercial and we'll just search water. This will bring up all the waterfront pack commercial buildings. And now we don't have a ton of commercial demand, but it will grow in. Although you're complaining of no pedestrian connection, which is fine. We'll just have a pathway linking back up to that road there. And then this road here can probably become parking road for these apartments. And then that can just connect into that. And let's throw in some filters and find our appropriate corner buildings here. Make this waterfront quite fancy. Place for all these medium density homes to come for a drink after work. grab a bite to eat. I actually wonder, can I take the colour palette of the French elementary here and stick that on some of these? It does make them not the colour palette that I wanted to, that's fine. I can probably adjust that manually. More this white colour I want on the buildings, really. So we'll just adjust that with these sliders. Might help them blend in a little bit more here. High density is still on its way up as well. I do find high density one of the more difficult ones to satisfy because I'm not a huge lover of a lot of the high density assets. Maybe I need to hit Paradox mods for high density buildings. Let me know if you have any recommendations on that front. I think I can warrant another northeast tower building in, and then we can transition away with some very fusible southwest apartments here. And all level 1 stuff, so I'm not upsetting the simulation too much. But this stuff here, I know this is the UK pack, but it's quite a clash for what I want here. Maybe Dutch and southwest. It's very easily expandable there with that little alleyway coming behind, isn't it? Which will link nicely into the back of all this, actually. For a little bit of the old behind building detailing. Where we'll also allow some more car parking to come in. We'll send that straight down there, and we don't need the traffic light on that road either. And then certainly more of a medium density transition from here as well. Let's come down to our medium apartment blocks. And maybe a little bit more northeast. I'm trying to not be so dependent on the southwest pack. My word, is it hard, everyone? There we go, we've finally made a dent in those residential demands with that plop in. Let's see how it responds to it. Oh my god, finally. We finally actually managed to keep them down. Yeah, okay, so starting to slow with filling now, so that's good. I can lay off the medium density a little bit. Only really leaving us with low density demand, which will continue to be enveloped by these suburbs here. I do want the row homes to continue though. We don't have any demand, but it won't be long before it's back. So let's get row homes facing this entire block, and then that road guideline now is just gonna feed us into all the areas that we like. Let's come in to that one, and then we can start to form these blocks here. What are we getting over here? What did the simulation choose out of interest? Industrial manufacturing, textiles, furniture, and stone and mineral. Okay, so one of them spawned in as the stone mineral deficit then. Okay, that's fine. I can blend all these in. We'll just make them historical. I prefer these smaller units. And then, you know, we can crack open all these fences here with the better bulldozer. And probably just expand our boatyard aesthetic over here. Is anyone using this pathway yet? Oh, look at that train, isn't that fun? That's such a nice view down to central Saratoga there, isn't it? I really like that. Yeah, they're just not going further down, which is a bit of a shame, but I suppose I could probably make that easier for them. Let's grab all these path nodes here, and then just set to the same height. Uniform. And then we'll have a few of those pathways. I think especially linking back to the waterfront homes is going to be quite useful. So that will hopefully encourage them to actually walk down here a little bit more. But either way, I think we're ready for a detailing time lapse. There's lots of tree lining to enjoy along the waterfront, and the expanded boat storage yard will grow out behind these residential buildings with appropriate fencing and props. And then plenty of residential spices. The back of these buildings are opening themselves up to lots of detailing. And then in terms of this stuff over here, this is just going to continue to be this low density core. There's actually got traffic down here on this road as well now. Oh yeah, this is the one that always has traffic, isn't it? Yeah, traffic is developing in the city. But just like with the rest of the systems, it really does ebb and flow. And this one's currently clear. Just a little bit of traffic waiting to pass there. We did have traffic down here once upon a time as well, but that seems to be more chill. And then the areas over here are all pretty fine as well. I think if anything, this traffic bottleneck here is just highlighting exactly that. It's a bottleneck to get to Eastern Saratoga, isn't it? Pretty much via this specific arterial road. So we probably want to address that at some point, because it's not going to get better, especially as this side grows out. But maybe this side here we will take a bit more of that traffic for people getting over this way. Maybe worth actually upgrading the coupler into high speed, or having high speed roads here, so they read it as a way back and forth. But yeah, there's a few traffic points threatening to develop around the city. But grab yourself some snacks and we'll be right back with medium density detailing time-lapse. Okay everyone, let's have a look around the medium density suburban centre of Saratosa, shall we? Or Eastern Saratosa at least. Our boatyard sits in very nicely here. Hopefully we've not upset the boat place today. What a various expansive prop detailing. I'm really settled in those new zoned industries, as you know, just boatyard workshops, essentially. That's it out here. With more prop detailing, fence and overgrowth, touch of texture paint around the edge of the boatyard as well. A really nice way to expand some generic industry, where it probably doesn't belong here. Like, I would never really zoned industry here. But in the theme of a boatyard, and this is definitely a drawbridge or a swing bridge, by the way, before anyone says it, that the masts can't go under the bridge. I know, but it's a drawbridge, it's a swing bridge, alright? Those are the rules. Waterfront, some of it is filled in. Some companies operating in here now, others still waiting to come in. I am being quite wary of overplopping commercial, because I realise the simulation seems to want a lot less of it than it does in the first game. I'll wait for these to fill up before placing any more. Over here, all our medium densities started in very nicely, with car parking behind, safety bollards. There's a whole mix of assets in here. You're looking at Eastern European, Mediterranean heritage, Southwest, Northeast, waterfront assets. There's a lot of different things going on. I think it's a pretty tasteful blending, really. I think I'm quite happy with it. The row homes surround the climb up to medium density. Detailing here in the corner, also outside at this really nice angled block here. We did have row homes, but decided to delete them for more Mediterranean heritage. Also detailed up a little courtyard for these apartments as well. Little palm and rock gardens, fountains, seats, couches and stuff in here. Just a place to enjoy a drink in your own apartment space. Doubled up the northeast building, just so it has the both, or the same face on both sides, basically. And then just designed a little geometry park out the front of it, with some custom asset benches. These are on Paradox mods, and a couple of bins in the middle there too. With playgrounds all better bulldozed off and own fencing just to expand the functional park space for all these residentials in here. So yeah, really nice little corner parks in several locations around here. Detailing against the back of the apartments, bins, fencing. There's lots of different fusions going on. There's a little urban promenades appearance in here too. Detailed a little street market here, with a little vendor stall by an ATM and a vending machine. A little bit of service painter in the graveyard. We were getting some death warnings over here, so probably time for a third graveyard now at this point. So this one will just serve Eastern Saratosa. Margrid freight. Oh yeah, it doesn't go straight there, does it? That's fine, I'll be happy with that. And then the suburban sprawl continues all the way around the edge over here. Along the waterfront, beyond the commercial stuff, there's more medium heritage apartments blended with northeast, which I think is not a bad combo. And then southwest apartments appear again. That one has actually leveled up, which should be filled in with texture that looks like that. And then just some planter detailing at the front. All of these little waterfront apartments that just sit as this really nice cluster of medium density activity, with the occasional appearance of mixed use, before Saratosa ends across the highway, which will be builds beyond the future. I think in terms of where we're going to expand next, I think it makes sense just to keep growing Saratosa and almost complete this chunk of Margrid first that's kind of bound by the rivers, and probably up to this highway. This sort of northern part, I guess, will be quite a different area, before we eventually turn our attention into the downtown. The lake has now completely dried up. I terraformed here, so I can only assume I terraformed the water source out. So I'll fix this with the water source mod before next episode. I've never had that happen before in CS2. And it's only this lake, so it must be the terraforming that's dried it up for some reason. But yeah, I will fix that regardless. The traffic on the arterials has eased a lot. We just had, you know, so many thousands of new medium density people moving into the town centre over here. So yeah, but it has eased up quite a bit now, which is nice. And then our trams, the train station was a lot busier earlier, especially with this pedestrian bridge, but yeah, it's not as wild now, unfortunately. But all these medium density people will be picking this tram line up. You can see it moving across the bridge here. People getting off, nice busy part of town. Lots of residential here. It's this really nice busy couplet flanked by all this quite impressive stone architecture on the building, right? Definitely a nice residential centre for this bit of town. And then we've also got the tram stopping over here as well. Again, this one was insanely busy earlier, but maybe it was just sort of peaking with the rush hour. So the tram then heads out and beyond. We'll likely have new tram lines here as well to intersect with the Saratoga loop that's going on as new transit systems. But I really want to get Metro in soon. We're also due a power station. I mentioned earlier this episode we are still importing the whole city's power here. I think through that Dutch substation actually. This is the only source of power input we have in the city here. So I will probably get to that next episode. I might have a look on Paradox mods for some custom power station stuff indeed. But otherwise guys, that will do it for today's episode. An enormous shout out to the YouTube members and patrons that bankroll these videos. Let me know what you think of the asset blend in here. I think I came into this project thinking that a lot of the European theme packs wouldn't be that useful, but I think certainly with the Mediterranean stuff and the French stuff, it blends quite nicely with Southwest and Northeast to an extent. And I'm really happy with that big pink beast that we have sat in the pinnacle of this little medium density rise here. Hang around for the cinematics and I'll see you next time for that power station. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.